it is time to look at the quadratic expression and its glory. But first of all, let's recall that in maths we have different types of expression. We have linear expression, we have the quadratic expression, we have the polynomial. And when the power or the greatest power of the unknown is 1, it is said to be a linear expression. For instance, if you have x plus 1, this is a linear expression because the greatest power of x is 1. Then the quadratic expression is when you have, for instance, x squared plus, let's say, 2x plus anything. So 3 in this case. This is a quadratic expression. A polynomial expression ranges from the power of 3 to infinity. For instance, if you have an expression of this nature, x raised to power 4 plus 3x raised to power 2 plus 3, this is called a polynomial equation, meaning that the greatest power of x is 4. So, but now we are going to be paying more attention to the quadratic expression. So let's take the definition. A quadratic expression is that whose highest power of the unknown is 2. As we have it in the example number 2 here. This is a quadratic expression, quad meaning quadratic. The greatest power of this is 2. So this is a quadratic expression. So listed below are just a few examples of a quadratic expression. You can see that in each of the cases, the greatest power of x is 2. That's why we have x raised to power 2, meaning x squared plus 3x. For number 2, we have x squared minus 9. Number 3, x squared plus 4x plus 4. But in each of these cases, the greatest power of x has always been 2. So that makes it a quadratic expression. But before we dive in, I want to use this opportunity to distinguish the difference between the quadratic expression and the quadratic equation. Basically, quadratic equation and quadratic expression are the same, but the only difference is that quadratic equation has equality sign. So if I come to this question number 3 and add equals to 0, this automatically becomes a quadratic equation. But without the equality sign, then it is called an expression. So as the name implies, equation, equation, that means that equality sign must be there. Now the general form of the quadratic expression is like this: ax squared plus bx plus c, without the equality sign. If we add the equality sign, it becomes a quadratic equation, but it is now a quadratic expression where a must not be equals to 0. Why? Because we are dealing with quadratic, and if a becomes 0, 0 times x squared will give you 0, meaning that we eventually have bx plus c, which is a linear expression. So the criteria that we have a quadratic equation is that a must not be equals to 0, otherwise it is not a quadratic expression. Now, apart from that, b could be 0 or c could be 0. So even if I write like this, x squared, this is a quadratic expression, meaning that my b and c are zeros. Or I can have it x squared plus 3x. In this case, my c is 0. I may have it in this form, x squared plus 3. It means that my b value has been 0, meaning that you can rewrite this as x squared plus 0x plus 3. So where my b here is 0, that simplifies to x squared plus 3. So this is just the general rule. Any other constant, b or c, could be 0, but a must not be 0, otherwise It is not a quadratic expression. Now, the next thing we need to know is that the quadratic equation can come in different form. It can come in form of the difference of two squares. For instance, if you have x squared minus 4, this is going to occur. It is called the difference of two squares, meaning that I can simplify this to be x squared minus, my 4 could be written as 2 raised to power 2. So, but when you want to factorize it, you will discover that you will have x minus 2 into x plus 2. So this is the difference of two squares, meaning that this one is minus and this one is plus, but the values are the same. 2 is here, 2 is here, x is here, x is here. So now the first case we are going to look at under this quadratic expression is known as the difference of two squares. So when you look at example 1 to 3, you discover that we have x squared minus 4, x squared for number 2 minus 9, number 3 x squared minus y squared. So we start from the first one, which says x squared minus 4. This is x squared minus, our 4 could be written as 2 times 2, meaning 2 raised to power 2. So because it's a difference of two squares, to factorize, we open two brackets and close them. So the first one, x, because we have 2x or x squared. The first one will be minus 2. The second one will be plus 2. So this is the difference of two squares. So anytime you have x squared minus a number, then you have to find the square root of the number and then square it. How do I mean? If you want to get this value back, you can simplify or to clear this bracket